Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, was directed by Rob Cohen and released in May of 1993. The film centers on the life and times of Bruce Lee from his youth in Hong Kong to his legendary rise to fame as one of the most influential and well-respected martial arts masters in movie history. The film mostly focuses on the years he spent in the United States after leaving Hong Kong in the early 1960s. It's here where we follow various stages of his career, including his time teaching Kung Fu in the US, his casting as Kato in the Green Hornet TV series, the creation of his own martial arts style of Jeet Kune Do, and his star-making stint as a leading man in the Hong Kong film circuit, all of it culminating with his untimely death in 1973 at the age of 32. Along the way, he is faced with numerous challenges, including racism, encounters with hostile competitors, injuries, financial problems, as well as battles with his own personal demons. At his side through it all is his wife, Linda. Much of the story is dedicated to her as well, giving us a chance to witness the ups and downs of their relationship while they struggle to build a family and stay together despite the numerous obstacles they face. The script was largely based on Linda Lee Cadwell's 1975 biography, Bruce Lee, the Man Only I Knew. It also pulled from Robert Krause's book, Bruce Lee, the Biography. Fun fact, Krause was also the director of Enter the Dragon, which many consider to be the breakout hit that cemented Lee's status as an international star. Director Rob Cohen did additional research, conducting numerous interviews with Linda Lee Cadwell and Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Lee. Various actors were considered for the part of Bruce Lee. Among them was Brandon Lee, who had racked up several notable acting credits of his own at the time and was the proper age. However, producer Raffaella De Laurentiis felt that he didn't look Chinese enough to lead a story that was so heavily steeped in Chinese culture. It didn't really matter because Brandon Lee ultimately took himself out of the running, saying that he didn't feel comfortable playing his father, especially since it would have required him to portray the romantic life of his parents. And I could see that. That would be weird. The part eventually went to actor Jason Scott Lee, no relation, who was of Hawaiian and Chinese descent. Jason had auditioned for a role in Last of the Mohicans, but was rejected for not looking Native American enough. But the casting director was impressed with his audition and recommended him to Cohen for this project. Jason had no prior martial arts training, but he did have a background in gymnastics and dance. Cohen felt that it would be better to train an actor to do martial arts than to try to train a martial artist to act. To get Bruce Lee's fighting style right, Jason trained with Jerry Poteet, a former student of Bruce Lee's and expert in Lee's Jeet Kune Do style. Jason would later say that he was intimidated by taking on the role, but was later reassured after speaking with Brandon Lee. Sadly, Brandon Lee died just a few weeks before this film's premiere due to a freak accident with a prop gun on the set of 1994's The Crow. This movie came out at just the right time for me. I was in high school then and deep into my own study of martial arts. I'd become fascinated with it when I was a kid, largely because of the steady stream of kung fu movies and shows that played on TV back then. Lee's work was definitely among them. So a movie about the life and times of Bruce Lee was right up my alley, and I made a point to go and see it. The movie made a big impression on me at the time. The story, the acting, fight choreography, the musical score by Randy Edelman, and even the romantic elements just worked for me. It's a film that I enjoyed then and still enjoy watching on occasion to this day. With that said though, I do want to say something about the style and overall approach that this film takes. This is the first time that I ever covered a biopic here, which is interesting to me. Some of my favorite movies are either biopics or based on true stories. We as a culture are fascinated by the exploits of people who either achieved great things in their lives or lived in interesting times, people whose names still resonate long after they died. But often in these cases, a host of myths and legends tend to form around that person or subject. These then take on a life of their own and eventually work their way into the narrative until the myth itself becomes part of the story. Hollywood movies tend to live in this space. The job of a Hollywood feature is primarily to entertain us. That's its overall goal. To do that, it sometimes has to change things around, condense timelines, ignore unflattering facts, and take plenty of creative license in order to give us an entertaining story. And that's more or less what we have here. This is not necessarily a complete or even entirely accurate representation of Bruce Lee's life story. Director Rob Cohen has said that he didn't want this to be a traditional biographical movie. He wanted to include elements of mysticism as well as exaggerated fight scenes that looked as if they could have come out of one of Bruce Lee's movies. That's what this film is going for. It's not meant to be a documentary. It's the life and times of Bruce Lee as told through the prism of filmmaking, which is the same art form that made him a legend. If you can accept that, as I have, then I think you'll find this one to be an enjoyable experience as well as a fitting tribute to Lee's legacy. Have you seen Dragon, the Bruce Lee story? Are you a fan of Bruce Lee's work? Would you like to see me cover one of his films? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks as always for taking the time to watch. I really appreciate it. And until the next time, have a good one.